Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Man, y'all know what time it is. T-Law got the eyes of Lee Van Cleef when he go in that field.
Checks it down underneath. That's a crossing route to Christian Kirk. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Christian Kirk to the goal line. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
They made a major mistake when they made T-Law go to the spirit of the sky, to the oracle of the saber-toothed tiger, and the saber-toothed tiger now has the scepter in his hand, and he been to put every critic to rest. Man, last night I done marinated 2 turkeys. I got my cherry wood getting ready for my smoker. Just got off from work, off Pritchard Roll. I'm going to bake me 2 Cornish hen. My special recipe, I call it a Mediterranean Cornish hen. I'm going to top it off with my homemade Long Island iced tea. And I'm only going to top it off with 1 red top of Coca-Cola. The Maxwell House coffee will live on forever. Duval!
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
I needed it, Tony. I needed it to get me out of the funk today, right? It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you're old enough, but you may not have remembered it in real time. When Sam Weish was the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, and I guess fans were being unruly. Maybe they were throwing some stuff on the field, and this was before the end of the game, and he came out and he got on a microphone on the
I've seen the
stadium's
clip.
PA, right? He goes, "You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati, okay? So you don't live in Cleveland. You live in Jacksonville, FLA. We got it a lot better than this team that's coming in here. Just look at the quarterback position. Let's start there.
Cincinnati, where now they won't let you film the team entering a training camp practice because they have to cross a real road.
Like a highway or something. Like we're going to walk across this highway, and you can't film. Like it just goes to show you the measures. Like, and people were afraid to film it, and they're in a public space, like, because they're afraid that the Bengals are going to get petty and revoke their credentials. You know, if you film their players walking to practice because they put them out there in traffic. Sorry.
But there's no doubt where Cleveland seems to be right now, right? They still have a bunch of pieces on that defense that you got to be ready for. You know, a guy like Myles Garrett can change a game in a moment.
Bro, their defense is loaded with playmakers.
Like,
right?
they have that all over the place. They just have a quarterback who's scared of his own shadow right now. You know, like they have so many problems on the offensive side of the ball up there in Cleveland right now that the Jaguars ought to win this game.
Ought to. But I'll say this, you know, I think you'll see at least one of those tackles back this week. I think Jack Conklin will make it back. They were surprised when he was a game day scratch. He was listed as questionable. And Jedrick Wills is their left tackle. He was out last week, and they thought Conklin would flip over from the right to the left. DeJuan Jones, who very similar to Anton Harris. Remember, DeJuan Jones was in the draft last year, and some people loved him, right? He's that really big guy out of Ohio State, wasn't he? I think they're like 6'8" or something.
I believe that's
crazy
correct,
nonsense. And apparently had a really nice rookie year and then played like less than stellar football last week, according to the folks up in Cleveland, which Dylan Denmark knows quite well. Good morning, Dylan.
Yes, good morning, Michael. How we doing?
You went on a Cleveland podcast yesterday. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yesterday for about 30 minutes. It comes out tomorrow. I'll put out the tweeter, and y'all can listen to it.
Give us a preview. What's the takeaway from the Browns' perspective?
He thinks that it was a bad game for them. He thinks they're going to win. Okay. And I kind of had the same opinion. I said the Jags, they let one go, and I think they'll win comfortable.
You think the Jags will win comfortable?
Yes, correct.
Here,
I am.
Unfortunately. Probably not going to have David Njoku this week. Big part of your offense right there. And, again, I don't know how much of Deshaun Watson's poor performance last week was like, man, when you're without your 2 starting tackles. And, Jeff Logman talked about when you watch on film, his eyes were dropping, meaning he's looking for the rush coming in, right? Instead of just feeling it, being confident, standing in the pocket. I mean, it doesn't seem unreasonable when your two starting tackles are not in the game and you're facing Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence kind of turn back the clock a little bit with a big pass rush performance this week.
Well, I know having one eye on the red zone when I could, right, on Sunday, I was focused in on the Jaguars game, but watching what I could see of the Browns game on the red zone, it
Tony
felt
wants
like
you to know he was watching closely. Look, the Browns game was after the Jags game.
Right,
You can
like,
watch away.
When I got home and it would flip over to the Browns game, every time it seemed they showed a play, there was an opportunity for a big play and Deshaun missed it. Right? Like Cleveland, it felt like they created opportunities over and over and over and over again. They missed them. Right? Like I saw Amari Cooper wide open 3 or 4 times.
He had one where he dropped a would-be touchdown, too.
Like, these are things that were happening for the Browns. It's like the result of what happened with the Browns on Sunday, I think, is deceiving to some degree about who they could potentially be when they come in here. Like, there is no room for letting any kind of guard down against it. They are so talented on the defensive side of the ball that if they pick up just a little bit of that rope on the offensive side this week, then yeah, I would expect them to be able to be competitive with the Jags on Sunday.
You know, it's odd. The Jags played them pretty late last year, Tone, and Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions, and they still put up 27 points on that team.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't a great outing. If you look at it from that perspective, Trevor protects the football this week. The Jags have had some success. Evan Ingram went crazy on the Cleveland Browns last year, and you know, we'll see if he can have a bounce-back game this week. But the Browns are definitely in bigger trouble. They've got more injury concerns, but not having Tyson Campbell. Amari Cooper is still a really, really good football player.
Doubt.
And he could give you issues, and they have what they think are stars on every level of the defense. Denzel Ward working from back to front, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and, of course, Myles Garrett. And they've got plenty of other good players on that team. Dalvin Tomlinson's a big-time space eater in the middle of that defensive line. Za'Darius Smith can come off the edge pretty well on the other side. Grant Delpit, a good safety. They've got really good players, one of the better defenses in the National Football League. So, you know, Miami had their issues with no Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Phillips coming back from the Achilles tear was not supposed to be in midseason form, and he certainly was on that last offensive drive for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
But I just feel like today we got to turn the page a little bit. You know, like it's raw what happened against the Miami Dolphins. We can't get it back. I don't know how the players do it, quite honestly, and maybe they can't with the 24-hour rule to really put it out of your mind and focus on the next thing. But I guess that's part of being a professional athlete is you just, you know, you got to dig into the next week's game plan. Things like that, man, will sit with me. Like this loss, depending on how things go, you know. Now, if the Jags get 3 games up in the division, they're cruising along and la-di-da, all right, all's fine, all's well and good. But if they're in a neck-and-neck battle all season long, I'm going to be thinking about week 1, you know, I mean, what could have been, unfortunately. So let's go out there and make that the opposite case. Let's go get that divisional lead. But you got to start putting some wins together. I know it's only week 2, but this is a team in Cleveland that comes in a little bit battered. You got Buffalo on the road for Monday Night Football. You got back-to-back division games after that. It doesn't get any easier. You got to get this home opener, in my opinion, against a team right now that, you know, didn't score their first touchdown until they were down 27-3 in the third quarter.
Yeah, I saw a couple of stats that, look, we're going to get past what happened on Sunday against Miami. You know, we're looking ahead to Cleveland today. We've already started that a little bit this morning, but saw a couple of stats yesterday that speak to how effective they were at times. It doesn't make the loss any less frustrating. It makes it more frustrating, actually, when you start seeing these things. The Jags were, I think, 3rd in the league in explosive plays created on offense this week, which would be 10-yard runs or 20-yard passes, the way they defined it in the stat I was looking at. They had the highest percentage of offensive snaps that resulted in an explosive play in the league against the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. And they still found a way to lose that game.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like those things necessarily guarantee anything, but it does speak to there's something there. Right, like they have real potential on the offensive side of the ball to be as explosive as they need to be in the league, but they got to figure out some of those other things that got in their way. We've talked about those for the last couple of days. Cleveland's coming to town. This is nothing to look past, right? The defense is too good, and the opportunities they blew on offense are too obvious for it to be one of these weeks where it's like, well, they were terrible, so they're terrible. It's week 1 in the NFL. They're not who they are, really, yet. 1 week doesn't determine that. Well, 1 week doesn't need to determine who you are either. You know, you can't be the team that folds because something went wrong late in the third quarter of a game. Be better than that. They have to be better than that in that moment. And we've gone over it for the last couple days. I don't know how you get them past that kind of thing, but they need to be past that kind of thing today. That has to be over. It can't be part of what they are going into the rest of the 2024 season.
Yeah, that's a them problem. We'll see how well they deal with it. Doug Pederson's going to speak about that and everything else coming up here in about 25 minutes or so. So we'll bring you a few of his thoughts today. Trevor Lawrence will speak after practice. We don't know what the big social media tease is all about yet for Trevor. A lot of people
made it feel like it's the hair.
Well, that's
we don't know.
Right, we don't know for sure. It could be one of those deals. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Trevor posted something. It was say it's time or something like that.
Time for a change.
Time for a change, and it started with a view of the back of his head, and then kind of you would turn and you'd see the hair and all its many manifestations right there, Tony. I don't know. I mean. If that's what he's doing or if it's something completely different.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow.
And he'll just laugh and go, what do you thought? I was cutting this? You kidding me? It's my moneymaker right here. I mean, he does get endorsements off that hair. So
for sure.
I don't know how the folks out there would feel about that in the world of commerce. Today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Remember, I wish I had done the poll a little bit differently today. And we thought it was going to be a runaway in one direction if we did do it a certain way. We're asking you, based on the first game of the season, which of these Jacksonville Jaguars will have a much better season than you expected? We give you 4 options. We're going to include Trayvon Walker. And I was afraid people would kind of misread the question, just say, which one of these is going to have the best season out of these guys? And he had a 2-sack game. And, you kidding? Of course it's Trayvon. I thought he would have run away with it. Even though people's expectations for Trayvon Walker coming in, I think, were higher than all the rest of these guys. So he would have to exceed the expectations you had for him to a greater degree, but opted to leave him out. Didn't want to run away in the poll. We're getting one in a different direction right now because
run away.
The 4 guys, apropos, right? The 4 guys that we put in the poll are Tank Bigsby, who's drawn 55% of the vote. There's your runaway right there. Jarian Jones played very well on defense. In fact, was singled up on Tyreek Hill on occasion. Devin Lloyd had one of his best games in a Jaguar uniform. And Brian Thomas Jr., who, look, we have high expectations for overall for his career and what he'll be, but hard to know what he'll be as a rookie, right? I mean, you look at Arizona, Tony. Marvin Harrison played 55 snaps, caught 1 pass for 4 yards. Marvin Harrison Jr., as the case may be. There's one shot of him open and Kyler didn't see him. Okay, well, that happens. But 1 catch for 4 yards.
Yeah, it's pretty clear LSU is wide receiver U because Malik Neighbors had a good week up there with the Giants.
I think it was solid. I don't know. Yeah, and
he didn't have the touchdown, but I know he had more yardage than Brian Thomas Jr. I forget exactly what the numbers were. It wasn't by a whole heck of a lot, but yeah, LSU is wide receiver U. It was crazy impressive what Thomas Jr. was able to do in that first half on Sunday.
And Adunze got a knee sprain.
Yeah.
Of course, Xavier Worthy went off on Thursday Night Football. We saw that for sure. And let me see what the numbers were for Malik Neighbors. 5 for 66. Solid. That's a good, solid debut, particularly when your team's putting up 6 points. And Daniel Jones is your quarterback.
Yeah.
Threw a couple of picks in that contest. So anyway, we can get into it today. We're kind of turning the page on, ripping the Band-Aid off from the Miami loss and looking ahead to the matchup with the Cleveland Browns today and what the Jaguars can get accomplished and how important this game is. Is it, in your opinion, a must-win? I know people, it's not a must-win if it's not going to knock you out of the playoffs. Okay, well, in the absolute literalist sense of the word.
How do you know last week's loss isn't the one that knocks you out of the playoffs?
You don't know. That's the thing, right? But as of right now, you have some control over your fate. You could go 16-1. That's not going to knock you out of the playoffs. So there's still, I think that's what people look at. There are enough games left to recuperate, recover if we lose this game. You look at what's coming up on the schedule for the next few weeks, and I think getting to 1-1
happen. Yeah,
1-1, right the ship a little bit. And, Buffalo's going to have some extra time to prepare for you, by the way. They're playing tomorrow night, so they get a few extra days with the Jaguars coming in. The Jags have had success head-to-head with the Bills in recent years, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. If you want to get in today, talk Jaguar football, you're certainly welcome to on the Garber Auto Mall phone lines at 641-1010. Same number for the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hit us up in the YouTube virtual studio chat or on social media today on the X platform at MD_1010XL. That's where you'll find our Twitter poll. And, of course, don't forget at 1010XL Fat Tony and at 1010XL Denmark.
Oh, I'm an island boy.
Oh.
Okay.
What do we got here?
I'm just island boy.
Remember what I was saying before the show?
Yes.
You don't know about the Island Boys?
I don't know about the Island Boys. Man, I don't know about anything. Are you kidding me? What do I know about Sam Weish, okay? You don't live in Cleveland. You don't know who that is.
No.
What's up with the Island Boys?
I don't know. They're these two rappers. They're pretty weird.
All
They
right.
got tattoos all over.
New thing. Next thing
New
you know.
to you. It ain't new.
All right. Next week, Dylan loses the Breakfast Bowl. It's face tattoo time for my man, right? Just lean
Mike
into
Tyson.
it. Lean into that young aesthetic. Pretty popular these days, I hear. All right, we'll come back. Dylan looking to go. Where are we going tomorrow? Andy's?
Yeah, we'll go to the West Side Special.
I threw it out there. I kind of shamed him now. He has to go. He mentioned it before the show, and he's I
got to leave a little early if it's going to rain. All that,
you should.
People can't drive in rain, around
Leave
here,
absolutely early. I'm sick of this rain. I think we all are sick of this rain at this point in time. Sick of 0-1.
4 days of it, yeah.
Let's figure out how do the Jags get to a 500 record after this week. John Oehser will join us in hour number 2. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. You want to make a plan. You want to know where you're starting, what the path is, and what your destination is. Well, the destination is you want to drop, 20 pounds, 50 pounds, maybe 100 pounds or more. How do you get there? What is the path to get there? And a path that will leave you in a place where you're on firm footing and you're going to be able to maintain that weight loss. Awaken 180 has that path for you. You're going to eat to lose weight. It's a proven formula with over 21,000 customers and a 98% plus satisfaction rating over the years with Awaken 180 weight loss. I'm certainly satisfied. It's been nearly one full calendar year since I lost weight, and I've been able to keep it off with Awaken 180. Same with Matt Hayes, same with Hacker, same with everyone I personally know who has tried Awaken 180. If you're sick of the yo-yo dieting, losing the weight, putting it right back on, Awaken 180 is the way to break free. Check them out online at awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800 for Awaken 180.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Get the coach's perspective.
Constant improvement, every day, every week.
Doug Pederson joins the Frangie Show Fridays at 4:05.
Build that championship culture.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Join Jim Furyk and other legends of the PGA Tour for the 4th annual Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K, October 4th through 6th at Timuquana Country Club. Get your tickets now, starting at just $25 for grounds passes. And if you're a country music fan, grab your tickets to see Brothers Osborne at Daly's Place Tuesday, October 1st for the Furyk Foundation concert sponsored by Ring Power. Learn everything you need to know at ConstellationFurykandFriends.com.
This is Chelsea with Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors. Here's what people are saying about working with us.
Installers were professional, courteous, and efficient.
Great customer service. On time, explain the process, and walked me through the installation. Amazing team.
Our experience with Renewal by Anderson was outstanding from the beginning to end.
Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit rbafla.com.
License number CGC 1527613.
Renewal by Anderson, custom windows and doors.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414-SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
Ever wonder how you can transform your living spaces into captivating works of art? At First Coast Lighting and Fans, they offer a huge selection of high-quality products to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Visit their showroom on Phillips Highway at the Avenues and step into a world of quality without compromise. Discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes and let them help you experience the transformation from average to extraordinary. At First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Sports talk sometimes gets confusing. I'm Hayes Carlyon, here to clean up the confusion. Join me afternoons on The Frangie Show for Cleaning Up with Hayes, brought to you by Molly Maid on 1010XL.
The experts at AMCO have been fixing cars for almost 60 years. Over that time, they've gotten more complex than ever. That's why our techs undergo rigorous training and certifications, so they can fix anything, including the most complicated repairs that come with some of the latest technologies. After 60 years, there's nothing we haven't seen or fixed. It's how we know cars inside and out.
Money tight? We can finance almost anybody. Find the AMCO transmissions nearest you at amcojacksonville.com.
What defines a hero? Dedication, loyalty, courage. Every day at AMCO, we serve heroes. For over 60 years, we've repaired and maintained the most critical public service vehicles. From complex transmissions to simple brake jobs with flexible financing and the extra safety precautions we need. The heroes we serve don't all wear uniforms. They're people like you. At AMCO, we're proud to serve all of you. AA MCO.
Family owned and operated in Jacksonville, Orange Park, St. Augustine, and St. Mary's, Georgia.
Is an injury keeping you on the sidelines? Whether it's your shoulder, neck, back, knee, wrist, or ankle, don't let pain hold you back any longer. At Injury Care Centers, they offer the same high-tech treatments trusted by the pros to supercharge your recovery without surgery. The road to recovery starts the moment you pick up the phone. 904-783-0008. That's 904-783-0008. Injury care starts at Injury Care Centers.
Family owned and managed for 20 years, Hidden Hills Golf Club boasts a unique and welcoming golfing atmosphere. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to book your next round on our Arnold Palmer signature course. You'll be glad you did.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Hello, I'm Malcolm Anthony. I've been practicing criminal defense law for over 40 years. It's what I love to do, what I do well. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 2854-LAW. 2854-LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Jaguars Today. John Oehser in hour number 2. Doug Pederson speaks in less than 15 minutes. We'll find out what's on his mind today. See if he's a little bit salty. Did you take him as a little bit salty on Monday? Is that the way you sent have his back up a little bit? Little bit. Yeah.
Little bit. Like, it didn't bother me.
No, I'm not bothered by it, but
like
it definitely was noticeable.
It's a little bit weird.
I don't know what game you're watching.
Right? Like a little bit off-putting that it all seemed to be focused on like the little things that he would get frustrated about were play calling in the second half. He didn't like to have to go through that again, it felt like, because he felt like they were aggressive enough.
I think he hates the whole play calling topic.
And the defensive plays that they gave up, like, we got to coach that better. And like, I can understand fans' frustration that see those things and go, what?
Did you read that as, like, I saw Demetrius Harvey's tweet. He's like, man, you got to read between the lines on that.
I'm right there with him.
Right.
It didn't frustrate me all that much to see him do it.
Remember, Steve Spurrier used to be like, well, yes, I didn't coach Kwesi up well enough, or whoever, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I guess I got to go out there and show him how to run that route better. And he'd always, to a comically absurd level, would take the blame. Well, should have coached him not to just drop the ball on the ground like that, you know, whatever the case may be. I felt like there was a little bit of that, I guess we got to coach him better. Like, how many times can you tell a guy X and watch out for this, whatever the case may be? I felt like they were kind of different circumstances, though, right? I felt like the three big plays, you had the missed tackle by Antonio Johnson that led to a big catch and run for Devon Achane. You had Johnson then kind of, it looked like biting up or respecting Tyreek Hill on one side with Waddle coming up underneath. And that was more like a tactical decision in the moment, like, okay, this is the threat. It's right in front of me. Whereas it seemed like Andre Sisco just, and Jeff Logman backed this up yesterday, took a bad angle on the Tyreek Hill thing, didn't respect the speed enough, or just, as many have in the past, got beat by that speed. There's sometimes these guys outrun angles, but that one really felt to me like he should have been knocked out of bounds. And, okay, you give up a 50-yarder, Tone, but you take a deep breath, gather yourself. You're still up by 10. You've done this a couple of times in the game. You gave up the big play to Waddle, and you were able to keep them off the scoreboard there. And, it was a little bit odd to me. I did not take it like he was saying Ryan Nielsen did a poor job coaching.
No, the whole thing felt to me like the fan base is obviously frustrated, having lost that game as well as they played for 3/4 of the game, essentially.
Should be frustrated.
Like that, they were really, really frustrated. I think Doug felt that frustration too. That's the way that press conference felt to me, is that he was frustrated with the way that they found a way to lose that football game, right? And so he's going to the podium, and whatever the reasons are in his mind for why it went bad, right? Like why a game that felt so positive for the team for 3/4 went so badly in the final quarter of the game, that he's going through all those things still in his own head, and his frustration level, whatever that is, came out in that press conference the way that it came out, right? And that felt more to me like he was reacting to something kind of in the moment that he had been having to brew on for an entire day. And even while he's going through it in front of everybody, it hit him differently. I think the frustration hit him differently while he was answering the question. Like that's what it felt like to me watching Doug on Monday. I'm not all that surprised by it. It's not like it's that difficult to go in there and answer those questions. He did okay with all that, but whatever he answered on Monday was not going to be good enough for a fan base that was looking to be frustrated with Doug Pederson. He's not going to calm that down with anything he says on Monday.
It's not like he's got the fan base chirping in his ear during the press conference either.
No.
Like, I get it. Whatever. I'm not really bothered by it either, but it was definitely noticeable. Let's put it that way. So I think he's going to be pretty matter-of-fact today, is my guess. We turn the page. We're on to the Cleveland Browns.
I would be surprised if he wasn't.
Forecast, Tony. Here's a surprise for you. There's rain coming, okay? Heavy thunderstorms tomorrow, thunderstorms Friday, thunderstorms Saturday, and then showers. I guess that's the best news for Sunday, is that it's only like 45% chance of showers. But sloppy mess favors the Cleveland Browns, to me, in a big way. That's a team right now that, their passing game is not exactly dynamic, and don't know what the state of affairs are going to be with those offensive tackles. And I think they would love to get down in the mud and make this like a 17-13 football game.
I think the entire city of Cleveland would be looking at that kind of forecast and saying, thank goodness it's not on Deshaun. Right, like I think that may be the reaction that you're going to get from Browns fans.
That it's not perfectly sunny. Hey, Deshaun, we're going to have you throw it 48 times today.
Right, like they don't want that. You know, Jacksonville would be fine with that if it became that kind of game that they feel like they can win that kind of game and certainly would have an advantage if it got played out that way. I'm with you, though. It doesn't look like that's the forecast we're going to have for the game this week. So, Tank, you were awesome in week 1.
Do it again.
Now we need it again. And ETN, you are, as I've said all offseason, I think ETN is a Pro Bowl caliber player. Not that I expect him to make a Pro Bowl this year, because that's hard at running back in either conference. But I don't expect him to be a Pro Bowler this year. But I think he's that caliber of a player for this football team. That didn't show up last week. It needs to this week, especially if that's going to be the kind of game that they have to play. They need both of their running backs, who I think are both obviously capable of giving you that kind of effort, to give you that kind of effort.
You know, though, if ETN hangs on to the ball and scores, which he didn't, and it's a 2-touchdown day, and you're like, okay, Tank gave you some of the hard running, ETN gave you some of the catching out of the backfield and the speed element, and who knows how much more they would have been successful or not successful the rest of the way.
They were both really good today. Yeah,
you would have felt, I think, completely different about it. I'm not saying you, I just think people in general, but it didn't go that way, right? No. That's not the facts of the matter. So, all right, we'll come back. We'll do today's 10-10 take a look at this poll. And speaking of Tank Bigsby, holding strong at about 55%, over 200 votes in right now. We're asking you, based on the first game of the season, which of these Jags will have a much better season than you anticipated going in? Is it Bigsby? Is it Jarian Jones, Devin Lloyd, or Brian Thomas Jr.? Those are the options in the poll. You can always reply with an off-the-board selection as well if you want to go that route. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Lickety Split. You need fast AP or AC service, repair, whatever the case may be. Lickety Split, the folks to call, because they understand, man, when it gets hot, you got to have that AC blowing to help you cool you off right now. They can handle plumbing. They can handle electric. They have dozens of certified technicians ready to repair not only your AC, but anything just practically going on, as I mentioned, with plumbing and electric, servicing all of Northeast Florida, Jacksonville, Oakley, St. Augustine, Orange Park, Fleming, Ponte Vedra Beach, and on and on. Check them out online at licketysplitfl.com.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, "We recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or ChadAndDSandy.com.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday
on Jaguars Today.
Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
You know when you said come over for the fight? We thought you meant your house.
You guys want another round of Bud Lights?
Service is better here. And so is the beer.
Bud Light is back as the official beer sponsor of UFC. Enjoy responsibly. 2024 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Every Monday, David Garrard calls the signals and looks for you on Jaguars Today from 10 to noon.
Look past left prong. Oh, we're ready.
Brought to you by WaterboyJax.com.
Duval.
On 1010XL.
Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, we know how to stop termites. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so do we. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem? Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Universal Roof and Contracting presents the Offensive Player of the Game. Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is universal.
Brian Thomas Jr. had a great debut for Jacksonville and Miami. The wideout recorded 4 receptions for 47 yards and added in a touchdown in what was an impressive first performance. The young man, although in his rookie campaign, looked like a seasoned pro while out there on the field. Brian Thomas Jr. is your Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game.
Universal Roof and Contracting has been protecting Florida homes from the elements for over 30 years. Call Universal Roof and Contracting today for a free roof inspection and get 15% off your roof repair or replacement. Plus, flexible financing options and payments as low as $115 a month. This offer expires September 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP.
License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis on how he felt about his first game as a Jaguar on Sunday.
Yeah, no, it felt good. I felt like we've been working all camp to build our chemistry up. I felt like it went pretty well. He was able to get me the ball. We were able to make something happen. So just keep it going, keep working, and find ways to get better each and every week.
Davis on the Jaguars' opportunity to bounce back in the home opener against the Browns.
Yeah, you got to win at home. This will be a big game for us, and excited that we get to go do it at our home stadium.
Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis in the locker room, courtesy of Jaguars.com. Jags Browns, Sunday at 1 on 1010XL. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, moving along here on Jaguars Today, taking a look more at the matchup with the Cleveland Browns. John Oehser will be along at the top of the hour. Doug Pederson just starting a press conference down at Everbank, or the Miller Electric Center, more accurately stated. Browns making some roster moves, so why don't we take a quick look around the National Football League?
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
The Cleveland Browns, as you mentioned, making some roster moves, placing starting safety Juan Thornhill on injured reserve, along with linebacker Mahmoud Diabate with a hip injury, linebacker Tony Fields, and defensive tackle Maurice Hurst also heading to the IR. There for the Cleveland Browns ahead of the matchup this week. The Indianapolis Colts are placing cornerback Julius Brents on injured reserve due to a knee injury. Cleveland has signed wide receiver Kadarius Toney to their practice squad. Las Vegas has signed Kayvon Chason to the practice squad. San Francisco running back Christian McCaffrey is day-to-day after being inactive in the 49ers season opener on Monday, and reports right now indicating unlikely to be able to play here in Week 2, but we'll see.
That's Pockett's first pick tomorrow in the Breakfast Bowl.
Baltimore quarterback Lamar Jackson expected to return to practice today after missing practice on Monday due to what's now being called soreness following their game last Thursday to open the season. He ran the ball quite a bit. The Carolina Panthers are expected to sign defensive end Charles Harris. The Panthers also placed defensive tackle Derek Brown on season-ending IR after he suffered a knee injury on Sunday. Miami Dolphins running backs Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert, both listed as non-participants at the Dolphins walkthrough practice on Tuesday ahead of their Thursday night game against Buffalo. Minnesota is signing defensive tackle Harrison Phillips to a 2-year extension worth up to $19 million with $13 million in guaranteed money. And the NFL is reviewing the complaint and looking into the allegations in the civil suit against Deshaun Watson, but they are not expected to be suspending Watson or placing him on the commissioner's exempt list at this time because there were no criminal charges filed regarding the incident and that the league's investigation has just begun, according to Tom Pelissero.
Yeah, good luck getting to the bottom of what happened 4 years ago. I don't know where the league's investigation is going to go, but anyway, that's their cross to bear up in Cleveland, and man, just be glad that that is not your franchise. Look, I get the desperation when you don't have a quarterback. You know, and the guy I went on the guy's podcast yesterday, the Orange and Brown Report, Mike Keefe, very nice guy, very knowledgeable about Cleveland and very respectful, conversation about everything. But he asked, how do you feel about, has Trevor Lawrence earned that contract extension? I said, look, I feel comfortable with the team investing in him. Like, I believe in the future of Trevor Lawrence. He's not turning 25 until next month, Tony. Mm-hmm. He's 24 years old. And so, but at the same time, I said, look, I respect the opinion of people who said they should have waited a year. I get it, right? He hasn't given you that consistent high-level play. He's flashed it at times, but, I don't think that's an unreasonable question to ask. I think, Cleveland was so desperate to do what they did. He didn't want to go to Cleveland. He was going to go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland goes, no, we're going to do something financially that no one has ever done in the history of the National Football League, and he couldn't turn down that money. It's like when A-Rod signed with Texas. Did he want to go to Texas, or did he want $250 million, I think, at the time?
And created some chaos, right? Like Lamar Jackson wanted a similar deal. It's what held up the whole thing getting done up there in Baltimore. They eventually got it done, but there were ripple effects to what happened with that deal for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and it looks worse and worse by the day. Cleveland having been willing to make that kind of move for that guy, given everything that's been going on with him.
So one thing we talked about yesterday on the Orange and Brown Report was the way they like to use Grant Delpit, their strong safety. They want to use him more as like an undersized linebacker, right? Definitely an in-the-box guy, kind of a hybrid linebacker safety, so more up to the line of scrimmage. I wonder how much that changes. Tony, as you just mentioned, Juan Thornhill is their free safety, just went on IR. Doesn't mean it's season ending, but at least he won't be playing this week and for the next 4.
IR,
So, I mean, look, there's no excuse. Yes, we don't have Tyson Campbell to match up with Amari Cooper. Okay, that's it, though. That's the only guy. And we still don't know if either of the Browns' starting tackles are going to play. David Njoku's not going to play this week. Now Thornhill goes on injured reserve. They're a lot more beat up than the Jaguars are. So no excuse in that department. Looking at today's question of the day, up to about 240 votes on that. Getting a little bit more run here for Brian Thomas Jr. Dylan, that brings us to today's 10-10 take.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take. Brought to you by
Double checked. Cybersecurity made simple.
All right, today's question today, based on the first game of the season, which of these Jaguars will have a much better season than you expected or anticipated? I don't know what kind of season. I think Jarian Jones is going to be up and down at times. I think he's a good piece to build for the future. This is going to be like his acclimation year to the NFL. Hopefully he can be a big-time, full-time player in the second half of the year. I didn't get that necessarily from one game. Mm-hmm. I think, showed some nice things. Looks like a pick that they're very confident in, that he can go out there and on occasion play one-on-one against the most dangerous receiver, or one of the most in the National Football League. Devin Lloyd, I got to see it a little bit more consistently. We've seen a few big games from Devin Lloyd over time, but I was encouraged by what I saw. And I guess it comes down to, I thought Tank Bigsby was going to be a bigger part of the offense this year, but I don't think it's going to be as big necessarily week to week as it was week one. I do think a couple of things. I think the heat factored in the desire to rotate these guys. He was having a tremendous outing, right? He averaged over 6 yards a carry. So he played well. He's deserving of touches. I think he'll obviously get a lot more than he got last year, but this comes down to me, Tony, to Brian Thomas Jr. I didn't know how quickly he would acclimate. Like, you look at Xavier Worthy. Yes, he scored 2 touchdowns for Kansas City. He did it on, very limited targets and very limited times with the ball in his hand. Brian Thomas didn't have the ball in his hand a lot, but if you based it just on the first half, and you got a normal amount of targets to him in the second half, that's 8. That's he was the best Jaguar wide receiver. Gabe Davis played well.
He did.
I thought as well. But Brian Thomas, that speed drew that pass interference, which is an impactful play, and I thought was the biggest offensive play for the Jags in that football game. And I just think that, I think I looked at it like, well, this is going to be the year where, it's still Christian Kirk. The torch will be passed kind of going into the 2025 season, where Brian Thomas Jr. emerges as the wide receiver 1. I think that might happen a lot sooner than I thought.
Watching that game on Sunday in his professional debut, and he draws that pass interference penalty and then catches that touchdown in the back of the end zone the way he caught it. Mm-hmm. And after spending an entire year having watched Calvin Ridley in Jacksonville, and I saw him be able to draw that pass interference. I saw him do that a lot. Right? Like, he was excellent at that kind of play, creating opportunities for the offense with his ability to beat his guy and put him in a position where he's got to grab him or watch him score.
Yep.
Like, that's where the guy's at. He showed that early on. The touchdown in the back of the end zone is a play that I saw Calvin Ridley have a chance to make 5 or 6 times and didn't make it last year. Right?
Might have made it once or twice,
right.
But yeah, he missed several opportunities.
So to see both of those things happen in one half of football for Brian Thomas Jr., I was already excited about the guy. I'm not sure exactly where I expected it to land ultimately in his rookie season based on how much better I felt about him week to week going through preseason, right? I just felt better about the guy every week that we would see him. Then I see him on the field for that half, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, the idea that he can be the one for this offense at some point has now become, when do they want to make him the one?
Or is he the one?
Right.
Like, and this isn't more like, look, Christian Kirk dropped a couple of passes. I expect Christian Kirk to be a lot more shorthanded the rest. It's not like, oh my gosh, I think Christian Kirk all of a sudden forgot how to play football, right? He had a couple of drops that he'd like to have back. For all we know, and we don't know about these things, maybe the calf still lingers a little bit. You don't know, right? And it's hard to say. It didn't look like he was impeded in running around out there, but it just seems like if you're saying, who do we have to get the ball in their hands more or give more opportunities to, Brian Thomas is at the top of this list.
I think the window for how long it'll take before defenses have to figure out a game plan for Brian Thomas Jr. week to week is already open.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's already something they're going to have to deal with now. Cleveland's having to think about that now and what the dividends for that are going to be. Now, it's going to change. It'll morph over time. And if he keeps making those kind of plays and has whole games where he's doing that kind of thing, yeah, he'll get more and more attention. And that should open up things for Kirk and Ingram and the other guys in this offense. That should expand as we get into this. But thinking at some point he's going to be the one has become, I think he can do it now if they ask them to.
Right.
Like, he's capable of doing that for them now.
He looked like that at halftime.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, wow, okay. This is a debut. This is what you want. Now, where is this going to go? Is he going to have 100 yards? Is he going to score again? Is he, is he going to draw more penalty flags or whatever the case? And never got that opportunity in the second half. I still think, you can talk all you want about aggressiveness. I think most Jaguar fans agree somewhere in that second half, you've got to manufacture an opportunity or two for Brian Thomas Jr. By the way, I think this is because CeeDee Lamb was killing him on this. They were being a little sarcastic on the Orange and Brown report yesterday, but just tell Brian Thomas that end arounds don't work against us. So I think they got really burned by CeeDee Lamb on that. We didn't see any of that kind of stuff out of the Jags. I mean, he is
They did it once to Duvernay.
That's right, to Duvernay, right. But, Brian Thomas
and he
got
almost
that.
had his helmet ripped off.
He did. He's got that legit 4.3 speed.
He does.
But a lot of eyes are going to go with him wherever he goes on the football field.
No doubt.
As well. But, yeah, I just – and, again, look, Tank probably going to be better than I thought, but not to the degree necessarily. That was my takeaway, that it was more like, is Brian Thomas going to be a 40-catch guy this year, a 50-catch guy? And maybe that's ultimately where he settles.
Could be.
But that first half leads me to believe that if they focus on making him a guy that they game plan to get the ball to on a weekly basis, that he can handle it. At least handle more than I expected right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I think the Tank thing was, going into the year, if there was ever going to be a week where I came out of the week feeling like Tank was the better back between him and Etienne, I was going to be a little bit surprised that was ever the case. Well, it took a week.
Yeah.
Tank was the better back this week.
He was this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a little bit surprised that outcome at any point in the 2024 season, given what my expectations were for Tank going into the year. But I do think, we're just talking about with Brian Thomas Jr., I think it does open up opportunities in the offense that they really do have two guys that they feel really good about handing the ball off to. They didn't have that at any point last year. At no point was the run game working with those kind of things in place. This year, it feels like there is a real opportunity for either of those guys being in the backfield. Them feeling really good about anything we can do with them.
But 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 aside.
It's
okay,
still
put
a
that
thing.
aside.
Yeah.
Okay, is that last year you didn't feel good? Tank was in the doghouse, right? So he was a non-factor. But did you not ever feel good about Etienne because of the skill set, or because he just didn't have the opportunity to do it? He was getting, making two guys miss in the backfield to get back to the line of scrimmage, it felt like, on a lot of plays.
It was more they couldn't rest him enough for him to be optimal, right? Like that was their plan going into the year, and that blew up on them immediately with Tank just not being ready for it. It feels like this year he's ready for it. So they can, whatever their plan was going into last year, I think it's going to be in full effect with the run game this year. I think it pays dividends for both those guys. Tank will actually be able to touch the ball this year, and it'll take some of the weight off of Etienne through the season.
A quick update from the Doug Pederson press conference via Mia O'Brien on the X or Twitter platform. Doug Pederson says Tyson Campbell is potentially an IR decision. So they're looking at probably a month or more now. If you put him on IR, he's got to miss 4 games. Yep. So, unless you're pretty confident he can come back before that, you add a roster spot, if you'd made, boy, I hate losing Terrell Edmonds. I just really felt like he had a nice offseason here, and that's the nature of the practice squad, and the Jags weren't able to protect him. Doug went on to say he's very pleased with Monteric Buster Brown and his play versus the Dolphins, so hasn't made a decision yet on who will be in there, but they have options for who will step in. Obviously, Brown is one of those, and Daniel Thomas is, quote, getting back there and will be out on the grass today. So moving
That's
back towards, don't know if he'll be in the back, in the lineup or helping out on special teams. Yeah. But, for the most part, they're healthy outside of Tyson Campbell.
Look, and if they get Daniel Thomas back, then they're not having to call anybody up off the practice squad to be a special teams guy.
Correct.
Right? Like, they have that covered if they have Daniel Thomas back. If they don't, then I don't know who the guy would be, but they'd have to likely call somebody up off the practice squad this week just to be in there for special teams. And it could be the guy they signed yesterday. I don't know.
Absolutely. Mia went on to say, in terms of what Doug Pederson had to say about Travis Etienne, they spoke during and after the game, and Doug reassured him, we're going to continue to give you the football. He doesn't want him to be tentative or cautious, still wants him to be aggressive and just learn from it. Yeah, look, absolutely. Right? You're not benching Travis Etienne. He's still a weapon. Yeah. Right? It's a play you can't allow to happen, but it is a correctable play. Yeah. And again, it was a phenomenal play by Javon Holland, but you can't allow that phenomenal play to be made. You just can't. If once you're in a certain area, as Dave Campo put it on the fifth quarter, I mean, as soon as I get in the car, I hear him say, the ball is more important than the touchdown, and that is the exact way to phrase it in that circumstance.
Tank got those 2 90-yard drives going with his carries from inside the 10. Right? Like, he jump-started both those drives.
No doubt.
And that in year 2, he gave them, like, that is as surprising as anything good that happened for the Jaguars on Sunday for me, was that Tank could actually be the guy that jump-starts something for them on offense. Didn't expect that.
All right, let's take a break here, and when we return, John Oehser will join us from Jaguars.com. We'll try to turn some of that Doug Pederson audio around for you so you can hear what the head coach is saying this morning as his team prepares to take on the Cleveland Browns. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you right now. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. 4 quarters plus 1 equals extra fun. Join hacker Leon and Coach Campo for the window world of Northeast Florida 5th quarter at Island Girl Cigar Bar on Gate Parkway. 2 hours after the final whistle on game day. Brought to you by Von Rowan Law.
Who has the best lineup this season? Honda. Cars, trucks, SUVs, vans, hybrids, and electric. This is one of the greatest lineups Honda has ever had. And now is the best time to purchase or lease one. Visit your local Honda dealer now. Remember, only a Honda is a Honda.
Big Sur's here. My cigars are back in stock at Island Girl Gate Parkway. Buy a box and I will autograph it for you. Island Girl Gate Parkway is the place to enjoy a great cigar selection, a full bar, enjoy a daily happy hour from noon to 7 and all day Sunday. Enjoy college and NFL games from noon to 6. When you buy 5 cigars, you get 1 free. Plus, live music Friday and Saturday nights. For upcoming events, follow Island Girl Gate Parkway on Instagram and Facebook at islandgirl.gateparkway.
Hello there. Brendan from Play It Again Sports here to congratulate all the parents for surviving another summer. The kiddos are back to school, and you know what that means? Sports are back. But don't fret. Play It Again Sports has the gear you need at prices worthy of excessive celebration. From sluggers and shooters to clappers and benders, Play It Again Sports can turn your kids into goats. Stop in today on Merrill Road near 295 or online at playitagainjacks.com.
Facing a DUI charge or even a boating under the influence charge? Well, I'm your man, DUI lawyer Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW. Once again, 285-4LAW.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
I'm Jeff Middlecoff with Trustline Mortgage. My business partners, Alan Tyre, Bill Pappas, and Ken Rimley, have been helping first-time home buyers with their mortgage financing all over Florida for 34 years. First-time home buyers can get no or low down payments, anywhere from 0 to 3.5% down. As a first-time home buyer with Trustline Mortgage, you get added benefits for doing your loan with us, like lower rates on your mortgage insurance and lower closing costs. Oh, and did I forget to mention that Trustline gives first-time home buyers better mortgage interest rates? Here's the bottom line. Trustline Mortgage wants to help first-time home buyers accomplish your goal of home ownership. That's why Trustline Mortgage is offering the best first-time home buyer benefits around, period. Trustline Mortgage delivers with no and low down payments, lower closing costs, and better interest rates. Call Trustline Mortgage today at 381-LOAN. Yes, 381-LOAN to find out how we can help you buy your dream home. Or visit our website at trustlinemortgage.com. Trust your instincts and follow the line to Trustline Mortgage.
Certain restrictions apply. See office for details. Trustline is an equal housing opportunity. MLS number 331480.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation, with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 133541.
510. Hi, it's Ben, second generation from Beards Diamonds. Guys, if you're popping the question soon, looking for an anniversary gift, before you buy anywhere, shop Beards. From a half carat to 10 carats, Beards will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com. The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
I'm Frank Frangie for Ricketts Electric. Hurricane season is here, and now's the time to think about a home generator. My friends at Ricketts Electric can make sure your home always has power. They can install the perfect generator for your home and are even offering a 10% discount this month if you mention 1010XL. So call my friend Zach Ricketts today at 904-320-5960 or find them on Facebook. That's Ricketts Electric, the city's best power connection. Call them at 320-5960.
Right now, they're on their way to ruin your day. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. And if you're not prepared, you will suffer. Yes, it's that time of the year. Heat and humidity are attacking North Florida. But help is at hand. Call Mike Merritt's Heating and Air Conditioning. Mike Merritt has a license to chill and lets you maintain your comfort zone at a bargain price. How? Mike Merritt stands ready to help, routine or emergencies. And Mike Merritt knows emergencies can happen at any time. So with Mike, there's never any overtime charges. And Mike's team works without commissions. Merritt will never try to sell you parts you don't need. You can't trust just anyone with a truck. Call Mike Merritt, the company North Florida has trusted for 35 years. Call today. License number CAC 050384.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at goosehead.com.
Here's your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, sponsored by First Coast Honda Dealers. With FSU's running back Jalen Lucas out for the season, head coach Mike Norvell says it's next man up.
Anytime a guy goes down, it is opportunity. Door opens. Mackay has really been coming along.
Florida head coach Billy Napier, during his press conference, commented on wide receiver Elijah Badger, the transfer from Arizona State.
I think he's getting more confident. He's getting comfortable in the system, and I think just reality that he can do it.
USA Today Florida Network Super 25 high school football list was released for Week 4. In our area, Mandarin was in the top 10, St. Augustine was in the top 15, and Range checked in at number 20. For even more local sports, follow 1010XL on X by following at 1010XL. That's at 1010XL on X.
At 10:59 at 79 degrees, time and center brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler, Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Oh No's with Jaguars.com's John Oehser. Brought to you by
Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
On 1010XL.
All right, we continue on here. Second hour of Jaguars Today on this Wednesday. Your question of the day, which of the four candidates that we put out there for you this morning, Tank Bigsby, Jarian Jones, Devin Lloyd, Brian Thomas Jr., based on their performance in Week 1, do you think will have a better year than you expected, or to what degree? Again, we're going to throw Trayvon Walker in there. I just thought it would be a runaway because people say, oh, he's going to have the best year out of these guys, but it's based on what your expectations were going in. We were just looking at Tank Bigsby a moment ago as we say good morning to John Oehser. Good morning to John Oehser.
Morning, guys.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah?
Good. Thought we might lead with, we're not talking fantasy today?
That's tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you killed me in fantasy. You did. We haven't brought up our own fantasy successes and failures, Tony, because we're trying to serve the Jaguar audience.
Yeah.
Which shows you where John Oehser's head is right here.
Now,
look, I lost. I was terrible in all the Jaguars Today leagues this week, so they call me bye week.
I am not that guy, but I had to be that guy because it's your show.
That's okay.
I guess I am that guy.
After how long have you been doing this with us? 10, 11 years?
I'll be 1-7 by season's end.
No, the point is, it's your show too.
Yeah.
No, and you say that, then why are you here?
Okay.
Okay, fair point. All right. Thank you. Tank Bigsby only played 17 snaps in the game felt like a lot more because basically, 2/3 of the time he was in there, he's getting the football.
Yeah. And he certainly rushed as well or better than I thought he would. I think he still needs to work on pass blocking. So I think that will be the challenge, is trying to figure out the balance between him and ETN in terms of when you have those guys in the game, I think they trust Travis in every way. Obviously the fumble, I'm saying in the big picture. Tank, I think, still needs to make sure that run blocking assignments are buttoned down.
Or pass blocking. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Pass
Yes.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
But, because you obviously don't want it to become a tell. Oh, Bigsby's in the game.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to, and I was kind of stammering around it. With Travis, the defense really doesn't know what's coming. Until a young runner shows that he's versatile in every aspect, then a young runner is often a tell. It's not just Tank. Most young running backs come into the league needing to work on that. So that's probably his next step.
What do you think it is? Is it recognition? Because, he's certainly big enough, physical enough to handle the job.
The other day, I think he missed one late. It was a big one. I'm not going to say it's a trend, so I don't know exactly what it be. Usually it's recognition and just the fact that NFL offenses are complex. There's a lot of calls. You hear stuff at the line, and it can take some time to be versatile. To be fluent in that language in real time. It's a very common trait for young running backs.
Have you heard anybody in the coaching staff just kind of talk about what kind of performance Brenton Strange gave this week?
My understanding is when he plays well, but only played 17 snaps, I think you said.
It's 19. Yeah. 36% of the snaps.
Didn't really catch anything because it wasn't part. But I heard nothing. I think he played poorly.
It's not that. It's just that, how big of an impact is he making on this team as a second-round pick now going into year two? When Luke Farrell's playing 14, and he's a very good blocker as well. And that's the only thing that you're using Strange for. At least they haven't unlocked him as any kind of an offensive weapon, Yeah,
so. And everything I've heard is that when he plays very well. And the challenge is when you've got 3 receivers now that you're wanting to play, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne, how to get snaps into a 2 tight end package is the challenge.
Did Brian Thomas Jr. surprise you with how good he looked with the opportunities that he had right away?
I think it would have surprised me on draft day. After seeing him in training camp, after seeing him in preseason, the way he developed, it didn't surprise me based on what he had done the last 3 or 4 weeks, but I certainly did not expect on draft night for him to look as good and smooth. It seems like he's going to force his way into being a much bigger part of the offense than maybe they even thought. And obviously he was going to play, he was going to start all that, but he's looking like a guy that you need to get the ball.
Right. You went in and, the range of how many balls is he going to get this year was so wide, right? Sure. You just didn't know. Is he going to be a decoy a lot of the time? He can stretch the field and he can help those guys underneath, but caught all 4 of his targets with the exception of the pass interference. Sure. So out of the 5 targets, all of those were positive plays for the Jags. So, John.
And he had a huge positive play on every scoring drive.
No doubt.
He caught the touchdown. I think he had a big 22-yarder on the field goal drive to start it off, if I'm not mistaken. Then he had the 40. So, going through him paid benefits. Now, that's not to say every time you do that you're going to score, but certainly on this day, he looks more polished, more ready. I hate to use this cliche, but he's just as big as the game, right? The game is in no way too big for him. The moment's not
too big for him, right?
And that's I would say unusual, but it's a really good sign to see in week 1.
I think already you're seeing he can run a bigger route tree than, and a lot of people say, hey, he runs 2 routes and that's all they asked him to do. And that may be accurate as to what they asked him to do at LSU, right? Because those guys, they're preparing you for the NFL, but they're also just trying to win games, right? So I think he's shown that off. But based on the first half that he had, 5 targets, get the big PI, you get 4 positive receptions. In a second half where they're scoring no points,
right?
How surprising was it to you that they didn't at least try to manufacture like a max protect? Just give him a shot. Maybe you get the flag. Maybe he beats this guy again.
In retrospect, a little surprising. In real time, I thought Doug's explanation was what I was thinking on Sunday night probably happened. They only played 50 plays. You felt like the running game, for the most part, for the first 3 quarters, it was there. You tried to stick with it, and then you had 2 series in the fourth quarter. You stuck with it right after the ETN fumble, and then you had 2 quick series in the fourth quarter. It was a short number of plays in which to do what you're talking about. If they had to do it again, I'm sure they probably would try to get it to Brian Thomas. Within the scope of only running, I think, 8 or 9 plays after the fumble, I think the game got away from him on that
But
front.
that fumble occurred 13 minutes into the second half, too. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you had a couple of unproductive drives before the 94-yard drive that resulted in the fumble. So, I mean, I don't know. It just surprised me because they didn't have a ton of snaps in the first half either, right? Miami actually had time of possession, even though it felt like the Jags dominated that game.
Yeah.
And they did in many aspects, and they still
the
found
Jaguars
a way.
were quick strike when they struck.
Right, but they still found a way to give Brian Thomas 5 opportunities.
Right,
on a kind of a limited number. I just think, and they probably in their heart of hearts would go back and say, we need to get this guy.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at it at the start of drives in the second half, you probably didn't go into that game thinking we have to get X guy the ball. So yeah, I'm sure if they looked back, they would probably do it differently. That's a tough thing to do as a play caller.
So, John, Tyson Campbell may be an IR candidate. We know at least he's going to miss several weeks, it sounds like, and they're right there on the brink deciding can he come back prior to a 4-week absence. Otherwise, you put him on injured reserve. And they said, Doug said this morning, it's kind of undecided, but do you expect at least Monteric Brown gets the first opportunity to step into those shoes?
I would think. Jarian Jones played awfully well the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is we won't hear anything about who they're going to start until game day. I would think Monteric gets the first opportunity, but I think Jarian's coming. I think he's going to be. I think he'll be there sooner rather than later.
Which is why we put him in the poll. I mean, if you're able to trust him even for 1 rep, one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, as a rookie 3rd rounder, that's saying something. About your belief in his ability. And sometimes you got to do what you have to do out there, but. I don't think they were putting him in that position if they didn't think he was up to it.
Right. And
as healthy as they were at this point.
So that corner spot, it puts more onus to me on what I think is the strength of the team, which is Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines Allen, and Eric Armstead. It's imperative that they get pressure and not leave the secondary exposed.
Yeah, well, and we'll talk about that because Cleveland gave up a ton of that pressure in week 1, but maybe a completely different look on the offensive line for them depending on who can get healthy by this Sunday coming up. All right, Johnny O is here. If you want to get in, 641-1010 on the Garber Auto Mall phone lines. We'll continue to take a look at your responses to today's question of the day in terms of the week 1 performance that has you going, I probably should have expected more out of this guy. If you want to get in, 641-1010, as we just mentioned, hit us up on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures as well. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, John Oehser, and Dylan Denmark. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Take your shot at a weekly tailgate combo pack valued at $100 from Southern Steer Butcher.
And monthly winners get a Corona tailgate tent with a cooler, chair, and collectible football.
It's the ultimate tailgate. Enter now at 1010XL.com.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
City AC, keeping you
Feeling the heat, Jacksonville? Cool down with Bold City Heating and Air. From repairs to energy-efficient installs, we do it all. Your system worked hard all summer long to keep you cool. Give it a spa day. Schedule a system tune-up. Call Bold City Heating and Air today and experience the bold difference.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
Now, it's time to showcase the Crown Royal Special Teams Player of the Game. Live generously and life will treat you royally.
Logan Cook was a master chef on Sunday for Jacksonville. The teal and black punter recorded 6 punts that averaged just under 52 yards per punt, with his longest going 67 yards. Simply put, the kicking doctor was in, and you didn't need an appointment to see him. Logan Cook is your Crown Royal Special Teams Player of the Game.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Homeowners, good news for you. Accent on 4. Listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Prosser here. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted. So low, we haven't seen them in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days, with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Call 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Owner approved credit, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Get off the ladder and put on the helmet with Gutter Helmet of North Florida. We are family owned and manufactured locally. Cleaning your gutters is a dangerous and dirty job. That's why with Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. Water goes in your gutters while trash and debris go on the ground. It won't collect like filters do. Gutter Helmet protects. Call now for 10% off and a free gutter cleaning and tune-up with your purchase of Gutter Helmet. Call 904-762-7779.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Roof damage? Call before you claim. Green Law Group, fighting insurance companies for you. They will work for you when you have roof damage. Don't let your insurance deny you. Don't call an adjuster. Call Green Law Group at 904-302-7055. Remember, if you have roof damage, call Green Law Group before you claim. They've settled millions and will work hard to get your claim and new roof. Green Law Group. Call before you claim. 904-302-7055.
The countdown to kickoff is on, and we want to put a little pep in your step with Spirit Week, presented by UF Health. Leading up to our home opener against the Cleveland Browns, keep your eyes and ears open for cool ways to win big. Local partner offers, free tickets, and more could be yours this week only. For more information, go to jaguars.com/sweepstakes. And don't forget to lock in your tickets for the home opener by going to jaguars.com/tickets.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. Clayton, we have all seen Forevermark diamond ads on television. Tell us about them.
Frank, Forevermark diamonds are a group of diamonds that have been separated from diamond productions in South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, and Canada because they're beautiful, rare, and responsibly sourced. Also, because the sale of these diamonds benefits the communities they come from, they're selected to carry the Forevermark icon. At Underwoods, we've sold South African and Namibian diamonds before, but Forevermark's different because these diamonds are traced and individually cared for from the mine all the way to her finger. And less than 1% of all diamonds qualify to be Forevermark. These diamonds also only sell through an authorized network of diamond cutters and retail stores that are carefully selected just like the diamonds. Underwoods is proud to be a part of that network, and we were one of the first 5 in the United States to join.
Underwoods, where customers are served with quality and respect. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Oh No's.
With Jaguars.com's John Oehser.
Brought to you by
Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars on 1010XL.
I really thought for the most part, other than the big, the 3 plays for 182 yards in the game Sunday, our guys really did a nice job of corralling their receivers and playing physical, when we were in space, tackling in space and things like that. So it's going to take that same type of effort, again this week.
That's Doug Pederson just moments ago talking about the defensive effort. Hard to win a game when you give up 3 plays that average 60 yards. But on 2 of those 3 drives, Tone, they didn't score. Jags defense kept them off the scoreboard. But, you continue to push that. And by the way, Tua missed Tyreek on what could have been a huge play early in the game. It could have really set the tone for the game, but overthrew him there. But I thought, again, you go into it, was the defense perfect? No. Did they get him off the field in the 2-minute drill? No. But if you went in saying, would you take the team defense giving up 20 points to the Miami Dolphins, I think it would have been a resounding yes across the board.
Sure.
Got to find a way to score 21.
Given how we had talked about it all offseason, but really the 2 weeks leading up to the actual matchup, right? That if you're playing against a team that is as explosive as the Dolphins is, you give up 20 points, you expect to win the game, right? Especially with the way the first 3 quarters of the game went. You give up 20 points, you expect to win that football game. They found a way to lose it.
They held them to 20, and they probably moved the ball, the Dolphins, well enough to get 27, 24, say. But still, within the framework of what you're talking about, that should have been enough to win the game, even 27. The Jaguars' offense had their chances. I kind of attributed the end drives sort of to the same factor we saw on, was it Sunday night, the Rams and the Lions played?
Yes.
Where, first week, I think it's tough for a defense to be stout the entire game against the run late and that sort of stuff. I think that late game stamina will come over time. I thought that it was a really tough ask when they sort of started grinding you down at the end of the game.
Yet their defense pitched a shutout in the second half. They played in the same conditions.
No doubt. No doubt. My only point with that is I don't necessarily think the Jaguars defense will be a defense that gives up that sort of drive all season. I think I don't necessarily worry about that being a thing.
I got you. I'm not I don't come away with you gave up the big play. Who'd you give it up? Oh, you gave it up to Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Right. Not some fat return man. Right. Like lumbering down the sideline. Yeah. Okay, if any team is going to hit you with some big plays,
right,
it's the track team that plays down in Miami.
Yeah.
It
was almost like you watched that game. I think you had the same sense I did. They gave a couple of huge plays, and you're like, well, they gave up 3 huge plays. If they only get touchdowns on half those, which they
gave right, they only scored on one of them.
Then the circumstances have broke for you that you should have won the game, and they should have won the game.
I still wonder, even just if you knock Tyreek Hill out, and if he doesn't score an 80-yard touchdown, yet flips the field, you get a chance though to kind of catch your breath. Okay, we've done this before. Jalen Waddle hit us with a big one earlier, right? Achane hit the big play out of the backfield earlier, and we regrouped, and but it was just
and in
gotta
other
find a way
game
to get him out.
Circumstances throughout that game when they were put in that kind of situation where they made Miami make those kind of plays, more often than not, they had to settle for a field goal. Right? Like, if you push him out of bounds on that play, I don't think it's ridiculous to think
maybe
the
we
Jags
hold him to a field goal.
Right. Holds them up to at least a field goal attempt in that moment.
It's such a league of circumstance and momentum. If they get the touchdown, they're up 17, and then Miami is playing uphill the rest of the way.
And demoralized, right? They don't have they come out of that debt once they get the ball in the 20. They're out of their minds. They're as high as they've been all day since the opening kickoff.
Right, and then you hit the big one, and I think it did deflate the Jaguars. It deflated me watching it. I think it deflated everybody watching it. Should you be able to come back from it? Should you be able to get points? Absolutely. But they had just enough of it. It gave Miami just enough of an edge. All of a sudden, you're playing a close game again. Yeah. You don't have to throw into the teeth of a pass rush as much as you did if it had been a 17-point lead. it just tipped the field just enough for Miami to feel like they could win it.
We always talk about it's a 10-point swing or whatever, and rarely is it that. But this was like in 2 plays, it wasn't like, okay, you went for it on 4th down, you didn't get it, they drove all the way downfield and punched one, and this was like we're a foot away, it felt like, or a yard away, and then within the span of like 15 seconds of game time, it's a 3-point game.
And circumstance makes it feel even bigger than that. Because I don't know what the stats are in this kind of thing, but how many teams give up 2 90-plus yard touchdown drives on defense and win a football game?
Well,
because that's what they were a yard away from doing.
Correct.
They had just had the Trayvon sack, which was a huge momentum swing against Miami. So Miami's deflated off of the Trayvon sack, not getting points. Then the Jaguars have one of the best drives I've ever seen this team have. For 96 yards to ETN. So you feel like I'm writing the story that the Jaguars win at that point. During that drive, I'm shifting gears in my story. I'm writing that lead because it looks like that's what it is. And then, bam.
Yep. Well, here is what Doug Pederson had to say this morning when he was asked what he wants to see this week against Cleveland.
Well, the mistakes that we made, the subtle things, the communication issues offensively, even some of the communication things defensively. Have we corrected those, right? And we won't know again until we get out on the practice field on Sunday. So those are the things that, and then ball security. We got to create takeaways and we got to take care of the football. And I think if we do that, it definitely helps your chances.
Well, one way to create takeaways is to get after the quarterback, right? Put constant pressure on the quarterback, and that's what the Dallas Cowboys were able to do in Week 1. Now, we don't know who's going to play at tackle for the Browns this week. My sense is that Jack Conklin will be one of those tackles because they were surprised when he was inactive on Sunday. So he was close to getting back, and he would have flipped from the right side to the left side. So we'll see. But 25 pressures allowed to the Dallas Cowboys, John. I mean, this is okay. It's not your career here, but Josh Hines-Allen, show us why you got that contract this week, right? Trayvon Walker, continue the great start you've had to the season. Eric Armstead, heat up. He had a big sack on a key 3rd down in the game. We've got to put Deshaun Watson under pressure. What you can't do is let him just get comfortable in the pocket and ease his way into this 2024 season because he had a rough go of it in Week 1. And Loggeman pointed it out. I brought up the exact phrase yesterday when on a Cleveland podcast where Deshaun was dropping his eyes, looking for the rush, and he was absolutely 100%. It was discombobulated across the board. There's somewhat an understandable circumstance there. Like we're not going to have our starting tackles here, no matter how we feel about Walker Little. That's going to be an issue for any team if you don't have your starting tackles. But this has got to be a game where the Jags pass rush really comes to the fore.
Well, and he's also a little bit of a feast or famine quarterback. He can absolutely have spectacular days, or he can have days where he runs into sacks and he makes mistakes. So you need to force him to have one of those days. That's the way this defense is built. I mean, it is built to be able to be disruptive on the front, and this is a game where you ought to be able to do that. This should be the Jaguars' advantage on this one.
No Joe Flacco coming off the bench for him, Tony, this week.
17 quarterback hits is what Cleveland allowed this week.
That's a crazy amount.
Like, that is a bonkers number for an NFL offensive line, even with a bunch of backups playing. 17 times you let your quarterback get hit. I don't know how many of those are on Deshaun, just kind of wandering around back there trying to make something happen.
Which he does.
He does. Right? So he does extend those kind of things. But certainly, look, I don't think Jacksonville is quite at the Cowboys level as far as the weapons that they're going to be throwing this week at the Cleveland Browns, but they're not way behind it. Right? Like, they're among the
CeeDee Lamb
tier.
would be ahead of any receiver we've got, but then, okay, what about Brandon Cooks? We've got weapons.
Look,
I take Ingram over Ferguson. I know Ferguson's banged up right now.
And when you put a line out there where it has Trayvon and Josh, right, going after him, it's like, they ought to be able to get after this Browns team. I don't think that necessarily means we're going to hit them 17 times.
Well, they're also an offense very much in transition. Like, when this team saw him last year, this is a different style offense that's built around Deshaun Watson. So it's not. It is still looking for its identity, It's not a power running offense as it was last year. So, yeah.
But in that game that they played him late in the season, Flacco threw it 45 times. Right. And their top two running backs, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, ran it 22 between them. They had a couple of other, like Flacco ran it 4 times, but for the most part, they're in the low 20s in terms of running it. And they just dropped back because the Jags could not get any pressure on Flacco
and
last year.
And they didn't cover Njoku.
Oh, my God. And that's a huge loss. In fact, that's what the guy, Mike Keefe, I was talking to yesterday, said that's the biggest issue that they've got is Njoku not being there for this offense. He was their leading receiver last week. He killed the Jags last year, much like Evan Ingram killed Cleveland. But, to me, if Trevor Lawrence protects the football this week, he had the 3 interceptions in that game. Jags lost on the road with a less than 100% Trevor Lawrence, and they lost by 4. It was more the defense allowing Flacco. They're just kind of at that point where Jake Browning had lit them up, that they weren't getting enough pressure.
That was the super quirky game where they gave up 2 ridiculous touchdown passes in the air where the defense just basically went the wrong way on plays.
Right, Njoku had one, where he was like 20 yards behind the defense that I can recall in my mind's eye.
Ryan Nielsen was brought in so that those plays wouldn't happen.
Jordan Akins is a solid NFL player. He's not nearly as dynamic a guy with the ball in his hands as Njoku. He's going to get targets in this football game, but I fear him a lot less. I'm more concerned with if we don't get that pressure, what Amari Cooper can do against the secondary without Tyson Campbell. But let's come back and let's take a look at your responses to today's question of the day. We'll get John to weigh in on this a little bit as well, as we voted earlier, but we're asking you which Jaguar, based on their Week 1 performance, out of the options we gave you, Bigsby, Jarian Jones, Devin Lloyd, or Brian Thomas Jr. will have a better season than you expected. Maybe a few more as well from Doug Pederson speaking this morning. You'll hear from him all throughout the day. 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle. If you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle with lifetime warranty, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Best price, best payment, best trade-in value, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. With a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there is always a little room for wiggle. Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Food, sandwiches, subs, absolutely great breakfast items. Maybe somebody who lost the breakfast bowl last week needs to look into that, but I tell you what, you can't go wrong if you go breakfast with Dandy. They've got some delicious options for you. It's not just that they're the classics. They're made with the highest quality ingredients. They locally source them here as much as possible, and they deliver them fresh daily all around Duval. So head into an area gate station and look for buttermilk biscuits and soft flaky croissants and French toast. That's my favorite. Light tasty maple waffles, sizzling country sausage, black forest ham, thick sliced bacon, peppered fried eggs, creamy Wisconsin cheddar cheese, and on and on and on. Now, you don't have to lose a fantasy football contest to buy breakfast for the office, and Dandy is a great economical option because that's one of the beauties of Dandy as well. They give you great variety, but they keep the prices reasonable. And Duval, when you're hungry, do what I do. Go out and make yourself a Dandy and do it today.
Well, all the news forecasts say that home prices are expected to decline in 2025. Hey, that's great if you're buying a home. But if you're selling one, you might want to get to it. And when it comes to selling your home, the agents you should trust are Chad and Sandy Newman at chadandsandy.com. Maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. And you don't want to worry about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Those things are all out with Chad and Sandy. They're the local real estate experts you can trust, and I recommend for the sale of your home, or for the sale of mine for that matter. Maybe I should look into it. Hey, don't trust me. Trust Jacqueline from Biscayne Estates. My inherited home became a nightmare when it went unsold for 177 days and ended up with a large lien. With expenses mounting for my handicapped daughter and no way to pay, I was desperate. At this point, I turned to Chad and Sandy. The change was amazing. Chad and Sandy sold my home in 3 days at a higher than asking price. Find out for yourself at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
This is Keith Scott with Veterans Wholesale Cabinets. We are Northeast Florida's cabinet experts and your best option to elevate your home improvement project for both homeowners and contractors, and attention to detail to every project. VeteransWholesaleCabinets.com.
It's Awaken 180 Weight Loss Wednesday
on Jaguars Today.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass, and he told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm Mac with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees, and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my take on the Weekend with Dan. Find it on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan, brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
Storms are part of every season. Make sure you're protected. Call American Electrical to make sure you have the best in surge protection. Don't lose your home electronics to a lightning strike. Call 737-7770 for American Electrical.
I'm Ben from Beard's Diamonds. My father and I buy our stones direct from the diamond cutters. No middleman, no big company overhead, no commission salespeople, and we pass the savings on to you. Before you buy anywhere else, remember, Beard's Diamonds will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com. Now, the Performance Painting High Performance Play of the Game. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
There's a duo in Jacksonville that's going to force opponents to get in asbestos suit because they're simply going to set the league on fire. In the second quarter, Trevor Lawrence would find Brian Thomas Jr. for a 14-yard touchdown. That would give the squad a 14-0 lead with 6:21 left in the half. The Thomas Jr. score is your Performance Painting Play of the Game.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting!
This is Walker Little of your Jacksonville Jaguars for Kingfish Pest Control. I've been a Kingfish customer for a while now and can confirm that their service is incredible. Not only do they protect my family from pests, Kingfish's office staff is the friendliest around. They even email me a photo of the tech before arriving at my home. Kingfish Pest Control is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Be sure to enter their Swat That Kick sweepstakes for free pest control for 3 years. Go to kingfishpest.com and tell them Walker Little sent you.
Cold beer and good grub. That's what you'll get at Taps on 210. Just a great neighborhood feel where friends and family get together. Check out Taps in the Winn-Dixie Plaza, just west of 95 on County Road 210, proudly supporting our 9 After 5 weekly. Head there for a cold one.
With deep pockets and huge resources, truck companies may think they can get away with a small settlement after an accident. But at Farah & Farah, our team isn't afraid to go toe-to-toe with them, to fight for every penny you're entitled to under the law. If you've been in a truck accident, call Farah & Farah. Put our big truck experience to work for you. Jacksonville.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram was noticeably quiet on Sunday against the Dolphins, with just one catch for 5 yards.
I didn't play well. I didn't execute to my best ability.
So I think we all just kind of hold each other accountable to the small things and just be better next week.
Ingram on the importance of Sunday's home opener against the Browns.
It's big. We got a northern team coming down south, a team that we went to battle with last year in their place. We're going to be ready to work this week and go right the ship on that home and try to get we got to protect the band. We got to win at home, and that's going to be our goal.
Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Hey, John, this is not the specific question of the day, but whose performance surprised you in a positive way in week one? Like, well, damn, I didn't expect that much out of that guy right now.
A Tank and BTJ surprised me a little bit. I expected Tank to play well. I didn't expect 73 yards. I didn't expect quite so explosive 2 or 3 times, and the consistency. So, again, I thought during training camp both those guys would matter a great deal, but they were better than I thought.
Sure. What was Trayvon? What you expected? Kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, because he had 2 sacks. One of them was
right. 2 slid down, and I just tapped the guy.
So, to me, he played sort of like he played most of last year. He was consistent. He got the sack when he got a good rush. So I think I expect him to have 12-ish sacks this year.
But you know what? Everyone who gets 12 or 15 has a few, 1 or 2, 3 that, like you probably miss 1 or 2 for whatever reason. Like maybe somebody jumped off sides and you lose one. And I feel like that somewhat evens out. You know what I mean? TJ Watt's going to get 1 or 2 that you're like, oh, that's a cheapie right there.
Or you miss one where you had the quarterback in your sights. He had a great rush.
Right.
And he got the ball out like in a split second.
How did that happen?
It's a tricky, often misunderstood stat.
I thought ESPN Stats and Info, I believe it was them who are whatever grading system they use, graded Trayvon the best edge defender against the run in the league for week 1 out of everybody, which is what you kind of expect him to be.
Right.
Tone?
Yeah. I thought that second sack he had, the Kendall Lamb, I think, was the right tackle on the play. I think that's why teams have sports psychologists, is because of what Trayvon was able to do to him. That was abusive.
Yeah.
What he did to the tackle on that play. And we know he's got that in him. Like, he's such a physical freak.
Sure.
That if he's going to add to his game that he can play the edges of these guys, that when he sees the opportunity that you're waiting for me to go to an edge and I get your chest, he's going to do that to people. Like, he can make NFL offensive linemen look like fools at times, given the physical abilities he has. It's kind of fun to watch.
I know they'll move these guys around somewhat, and I'm not necessarily noticing every snap to snap. Is Trayvon inside? Is he flip sides? Or whatever the case may be. But it appears like more often than not, you're going to have Josh Allen rushing off the defense's right side, right? So if they do have Conklin back, he's going to play left tackle. So the superior player will be who Josh Hines Allen would have to deal with in there. And DeJuan Jones, he's a big man.
He is.
But according to the folks I was talking to up in Cleveland yesterday, he had just had a brutal showing against the Cowboys last week. And it was funny, John, because much like Anton Harrison, they expected big things after a really solid rookie season out of DeJuan Jones. He's not slated to be a starter, but they expected a high level of performance out of him. I think everybody anticipated Anton might be the best offensive lineman the Jags have, and just for 1 week, he had a rough one.
He had a rough one. My understanding from talking to people, not quite as rough as maybe it looked. There are a couple of plays where I think he expected help and didn't get it. But in real time watching it, I agree. I don't think it was his best game. I also don't particularly worry. It's why I think there's a lot of hope in the sense that I don't think Etienne's a fumbler. I think he showed last year that he's not a fumbler. He had a bad rookie year or a bad first year with that, but then he fixed it. And I don't think Anton Harrison's a bad player.
So, I don't either. I'm not saying that.
I'm saying I think these things that bit him, I don't think Christian Kirk is a drop ball receiver. I think Evan Ingram has better days than he did the other day. So I think those guys will, I guess, reemerge as core dependable players.
Sure, and I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, some of the other guys who had good games,
Sure.
like are it's going to be an ebb and flow. And you're just thinking, man, this game from any standpoint was so winnable if one or two or three plays go our way. Even with the ETN fumble, if Kirk catches a couple of balls on third down, maybe that change, and you wouldn't need that touchdown drive. You can always use it, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's why it's so hard to blow teams out in this league, because you're on the verge of blowing them out. You have one play where you don't close the deal, and then all of a sudden it's a football game again. And we saw that last year, and it felt like 13 or 14 different games.
All right, so John, today, based on the first game of the season, you mentioned Bigsby and Thomas were, maybe surprising in just how good they were. Which of these in this poll will have a much better season than you anticipated? Bigsby, Jarian Jones, Devin Lloyd, Brian Thomas Jr. You can only vote one guy. Who is it?
I'll go Thomas. I thought in the last month going into the season, since training camp started, I was thinking, okay, this guy's going to be better than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take what I usually expect out of rookies, which is very little, I think he's going to matter. By the end of the season, I think he's a go-to guy.
This is kind of settled here into where it's going to end up, where I have over 300 votes. 54%, going for Tank. About 28% for Brian Thomas Jr., 11% for Jarian Jones, 6.8% for Devin Lloyd. I thought Devin Lloyd was really good this week. And, I think he's one of those guys, Tone, that I'm never quite sure what to expect from him. Listed as kind of a co-starter with Muma. What does that mean for him? Is he going to be coming off the field in certain circumstances, things like that? But I thought he played fast. I think Doug Pederson alluded to that. And, pretty, not any blown coverages that I can remember, things like that.
Well, and that's the thing with Devin. This point in his career, when they put him in positions where he's allowed to just play fast, he's a really good player, right? And when defenses can put him in a position where they have to make him think, what am I doing on this play? Who's going to be where? That's where he gets caught up, is in those kind of situations. That didn't happen to him this week, and I don't know how much of that is Miami wasn't able to put him in that situation, or every time it could have happened, Devin Lloyd knew what was supposed to happen and reacted the right way to what was happening on the field. But you put that guy in a position to just find ball, get ball.
Yep.
He's great at that part of the game. And this week, he had the opportunity to play a lot of find ball, get ball, and he played really well.
Well, I think the scheme is a little more suited to that, in that it doesn't ask the linebackers, I don't think, to make quite those decisions in real time as the 3-4 did. So I think it does fit what they want Devin.
So he'll be a big benefactor all year, in all likelihood of that.
A few of the votes we got this morning here on today's poll. Spider Jag said, I selected Jarian because I did expect this from Tank. And that's a big part of it. Like, what were your expectations? Yeah. Who is going to outperform those? So if you thought more, and again, split in the touches this week. And again, I think the heat was a factor. And he played well. Like, I think
really well,
Tank Bigsby deserves to get the ball, get opportunities, but he played a significant amount of snaps fewer than Travis Etienne as well. Not there in the passing game yet. We'll see if that develops. But he said, I expected this out of Tank. Tank's better at inside zone. Etienne better outside and receiving. Although he struggled last year, Tank showed flashes carrying 2 and 3 people falling forward, which I expect consistently this year. He's a tough runner. There's no question about that. Let's see here. If I clicked to the wrong thing. I'm stalling in real time, Tony, to try to get some of these. BTJ says Chance is winning Rookie of the Year. Maybe so. We'll find out. Xavier Worthy might be in the lead position after 1 week. Andrew said high expectations I already had for Tank, Lloyd, and BTJ. From the jump, they looked exactly how I expected them to. Jarian ran step for step with Hill a couple of times. That was certainly more than I expected, so obviously voted that way. Bush Drive Rich would have liked to have gone off the board, said, I think Gabe Davis will have a better season, the replacement for Zay. And last year it was clear that Trevor missed his favorite target when he wasn't in the game. I thought Gabe looked excellent. Another guy. Just the passing game in general. like, I don't know if it was time. Guys were covered up, and there was some of that. I know, Doug Pederson talked about there were some opportunities to throw the ball, and guys got to shake free. Loggeman pointed that out as well. Let's see. Irish diplomacy voted Lloyd. Looks like the scheme is going to cater to his strength. Andrew said, I was not high on BTJ when we drafted him. Route tree concerned me. I am so stoked to be wrong. So some love for all those guys.
Well, we talked about throughout the offseason, John, that they're kind of joining the modern NFL with paying their guys to keep them around, especially at quarterback and premier positions, right? They're keeping their guys, which is not something Jacksonville has been doing since the early days, right, in the franchise. Well, they also kind of joined the modern NFL from the perspective of you're allowed to draft a wide receiver early and then be a player for you from the moment they walk on the field, right? Like, that is not a really uncommon thing to have happen in today's modern NFL. The Jags have never really experienced it. Nothing that's stuck around. Blackman was a good player his rookie year, but obviously that didn't last all that long. This feels like something week one, whatever your expectations were when they drafted him. We talked about it early in the show this morning. He feels like a guy that will be the one. He could do it today if they needed him to be that guy. Now.
You talking about just receivers for the Jags historically? Or you're talking about any first-round
receivers?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Receivers specifically. Like, that's the modern NFL thing. You draft Justin Jefferson, and then you show up and you're like, that's our guy.
Bunch.
Like, those kind of things happen in today's NFL. Jacksonville hadn't even participated in that part of the game in such a long time since they drafted Blackman. They've kind of punted on that opportunity. Well, they're back in that now, and it looks like they got a guy that can be that for them now if they need him to be.
Yeah, it really does. And he's the guy out of that bunch. I think Christian Kirk's obviously really good. Gabe Davis looked really good. Ingram. But Brian Thomas Jr. is clearly the guy. He showed on the touchdown that he's capable of special in every game. And they haven't had that at receiver in, since Jimmy retired.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers, the exclusive provider of BioTarget regenerative therapy for pain. Visit GoBioTarget.com for a location near you.
All right, Mia O'Brien is back from the Doug Pederson press conference, and we read along with your reporting through Twitter or X, but what were your major takeaways from Dougie?
Yeah, I thought Doug did a good job of all of those out there in Duval that were concerned that he was too chippy and a little too critical of the defense on Monday in his comments. I thought he did a very good job of being like, look, I'm not bashing them. I'm just saying there were communication errors on both sides of the ball, because he noted some of the communication miscues along the, offensive side of the ball today as well, especially, when it came to late in the fourth quarter. And so I thought he did a good job of kind of diffusing the panic on that front and stressing that, there were a lot of positive returns from the defense.
Let me ask you, when he made the comment on Monday, in certain circumstances, we talk about the explosive plays on defense. We need to coach this better, right? Is that the old Steve Spurrier? Well, guess I got to tell him not to lay the ball on the ground. Like, Spurrier would take the blame for everything. I guess I'm a dumb coach for this guy fumbling.
You're saying, is it the coach saying...
Is he covering for the players without, calling the guys out?
And that's good coaching. Correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny O. Like, I think that's just what a good coach does. And I think that those defensive coaches, I don't think Doug would have put that on them if he didn't think that they wouldn't take it to heart and think he's mad at them.
Yeah, in week one, I think that's the right way. I don't have a problem with a coach calling a player on the carpet 10 weeks into the season if the same things are happening.
And Doug did it last year. I mean, in December, what did he keep saying? Execution is the problem. We don't have players who are executing what we are asking of them.
All right, so what do we have on Helmets and Heels today?
Whole heck of a lot. Mary Kay Cabot from the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Cleveland.com, going to join us coming up around the 12:35-ish mark. Becky Burley from Sporting Jacks making her monthly appearance on the program. Of course, we'll have Mia's MyBookie picks. We'll look at the college football slate and a whole lot more.
All right, Mia, have a good show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The Helmets and Heels coming your way. John, where will we catch you between now and game day?
Ozone podcast guest this week will I am targeting Mitch Morse, which I'm looking forward to. And
he's gonna knock you on your butt, buddy.
Oh, he'll take me down.
That's what offensive linemen do, right?
Yeah, no question. And Bucky Brooks on the Huddle Up podcast at 4 p.m. today.
All right, we will talk to you Sunday as well on the lead up to the
Look forward to it.
opener against Cleveland Browns. And yes, to repeat, John bashed me in fantasy this week.
1-0. Soon to be 1-7.
1-0. I may soon to be 0-7. I don't know. Based on my early returns, not looking good. Breakfast bowl tomorrow, though, Tony.
Yes, sir.
And we'll be eating on pockets. So thank you, Dylan. Appreciate you very much.
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
For John Oehser, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Stick around. Helmets and Heels coming your way right now on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.